You ever have one of those moments where someone pushes you just a little too far, and instead of snapping, you smile, because you already know exactly how you're going to hit back? That was me. One scorcher of a Saturday in July, standing by the window with an iced coffee in hand, watching our HOA president, Ms. Eleanor Granger, marching toward the community pool like she was leading a crusade. Heels clacking, phone glued to her ear, yelling something about unauthorized pool use. I could already hear the sirens in the distance. And I swear to you, I smiled, because everything was going exactly the way I planned. She stopped dead in her tracks when she saw it. The phone dropped just enough to reveal that signature Eleanor scowl turning into a confused gape. Because what she was looking at, that wasn't her kingdom anymore. That was my counterstrike. And it was glorious. Let me rewind a little. My name's Matt Delaney. I'm a software engineer. Recently moved to Brookstone Hollow, a quiet little subdivision tucked behind a row of oaks, and a whole lot of passive-aggressive neighborly tension. I chose it for the pool, to be honest. Summers here are no joke, 90 degrees before lunch, and I like to swim laps to clear my head after work. I moved in mid-May. Third day in, I walk over to the HOA office to get my pool access card. Behind the desk, Eleanor, 60-something, hair like cotton candy stretched over a helmet, lips pursed like she just drank vinegar. She didn't look up when I entered, just kept typing. When she finally did look at me, her smile was pure customer service poison, polite, tight, and totally hollow. I said I was new, just wanted access to the pool. That's when she perked up. Oh. New residents have a 60-day waiting period, she said, tapping on a binder with her long acrylic nail like it was gospel. I asked to see that rule in writing. She said the documents were being revised. When I asked again the next week, she said the binder was in review by legal. Third time, we're backlogged on card production. Yeah, right. It was clear real quick that this wasn't about rules. This was about control. Eleanor liked to gatekeep. She liked to decide who got to enjoy what. And for whatever reason, maybe because I'm young, single, work remote, and didn't show up to her weekly garden club meet and greets, I wasn't on her approved list. And trust me, it didn't stop at the pool. That same week, I started getting notices. My garbage can was visible from the street for 32 minutes. My front porch light was too bright. My mailbox paint had faded below the approved hue standard. Someone even flagged my car for being parked at a slight diagonal. I measured. It was off by less than an inch. It wasn't just Eleanor either. She had this little clique, 3 older women who circled the block like clockwork, phones out, snapping pictures like neighborhood paparazzi. One morning, I looked out and caught Eleanor crouched behind my bushes with a damn tape measure. That was the moment I knew. I could either keep pushing paperwork and waiting for sanity to return, or I could outplay her. It all clicked a week later when I ran into my neighbor, Calvin, at the coffee shop. Guys lived here 20 years, used to be on the HOA board before Eleanor basically staged a power grab. Over iced lattes and a muffin, he let slip something interesting. The plot of land just beside the community pool? Technically city property. Used mostly for overflow parking during neighborhood parties, but legally, it wasn't under HOA jurisdiction. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I am good with research and paperwork. That night, I went home, pulled up the city zoning maps, filed a couple inquiries, made some calls. By Monday, I had city approval and a temporary event permit for that lot. Then I called Splashline Rentals. The following Saturday, I got up at 7 a.m. and watched them set up a massive 24-foot above-ground pool. Clean, fully filtered, with steps, safety rail, and proper signage. Then came the chairs, the umbrellas, the cooler stocked with sodas and popsicles. I added a Bluetooth speaker playing Motown at just the right volume and strung up a banner, Delaney's Oasis, all neighbors welcome. I taped laminated copies of my permit on the fence, just in case Eleanor tried anything funny. And boy, did she. The first family showed up around noon, mostly folks I'd seen walking their dogs, who'd given me sympathetic glances when I got yelled at over my mailbox. By 1 p.m., there were kids splashing, neighbors chatting over chips and lemonade. Even a guy grilling hot dogs on a little portable barbecue. It was the first time I'd seen people smile in this neighborhood. And then she came. Eleanor pulled up in her beige Lexus like she was arriving at a crime scene. Slammed the door, stormed up to the pool, her face already turning red. She screamed about unauthorized gatherings, community standards, unregulated chlorination. Then she saw the permit. Read it. Paused. and then did exactly what I hoped she would. She called the police. "I need officers dispatched to the community pool immediately," she barked. "There's unauthorized use and possible trespassing." Meanwhile, we're literally 10 feet away on city land, having juice boxes with toddlers. A few people started filming. I may or may not have cracked open a LaCroix, leaned back in my chair, and said, loud enough for the camera mic to catch, "Man, hope the cops brought their swim trunks." 15 minutes later, 2 cruisers rolled up. Officers Barnes and Patel. They stepped out, looked around, took one look at Eleanor, who was gesturing like she was directing traffic, and then one look at us, lounging peacefully behind the fence. Eleanor hustled up to them, launching into this monologue about disruption, property values, neighborhood order. She pointed at me like I was public enemy number 1. Officer Patel looked at her, then looked at the laminated permit still taped to the gate. "Ma'am," he said, deadpan, "this is city land, not your jurisdiction." She blinked. But the noise." Officer Barnes tilted his head. "Ma'am, this is a pool. On a Saturday. In July." Eleanor started sputtering something about safety, enforcement, chemicals. I don't even know, but Barnes just held up a hand. "We're gonna let you handle your HOA rules. But nothing here's illegal. Have a good day." And they left. The moment they did, Calvin, remember him? Stood up with a cooler of sodas and walked right over. "Matt," he said, loud and clear, "thank you for reminding us that neighbors should be friendly, not fearful." A few others clapped. It was corny, but it felt good. Eleanor, meanwhile, was frozen in place. Her sidekicks, Janet and Ruth, were lingering awkwardly by the bushes, pretending to check their phones. No backup this time. That night, I heard a rumor a special HOA meeting had been called. Sure enough, by Monday, there was a vote to review all pool access policies. Turns out I wasn't the only one who'd been denied access with no clear reason. The motion passed 6-1. Take a wild guess who voted no. A couple days later, someone posted the police interaction on Nextdoor. Then it hit Facebook. The caption? HOA president calls cops on kiddie pool party. Cops laugh. The local news picked it up by Friday. By Sunday, there was a petition circulating to remove Eleanor as HOA president. Over 70% of the neighborhood signed it within 3 days. She showed up to the next meeting with a lawyer in tow, claimed she was being harassed, defamed, targeted. But then came the receipts. Calvin and several other residents presented violation notices for imaginary infractions, plants, mailboxes, bird feeders. They showed a pattern, a vendetta. The HOA's legal counsel advised the board to vote for removal to protect the association from potential liability. It wasn't even close. 7-0. Eleanor stood up, quaking with rage, and pointed right at me. "You don't belong here. You've ruined everything." Security had to escort her out while folks applauded like it was opening night on Broadway. And you know what? I didn't throw a party. I didn't gloat. I just went home, put on my trunks, and took a quiet swim under the stars, alone, for once, in the actual community pool. Funny how one little no led to all of this. So let me ask you, have you ever had a neighbor, or an HOA, or some small-town tyrant try to box you out just because they could? Did you fight back, or did you let it slide? Drop a comment below and tell me your story. And hey, if you've got a modern-day Karen in your life, maybe it's time you found your own oasis. Because sometimes, the best revenge is just playing by the rules better than they ever could.